Of course, there's going to be a problem. Of course, there's going to be a problem. So folks that are in the YouTube right now, I'm going to be posting specifically for you. Of course, there's going to be a problem. So folks that are in the YouTube right now, we need to pause that. All right. So give me just a second. If you are on YouTube, can you just do me a favor? Can someone give me a shout out just so I can see that the comments are working? All right, I'm seeing a couple people in YouTube. Thank you very much. We are going to do a very quick patch for the Facebook channel. So give me just a second. This is going to be delightfully weird. Yeah, so basically what's going on right now is Facebook has been super, super difficult with just about everything that's going on. And that is slightly problematic because if we can't see what we're attempting to do, then kind of what's the whole point of this? So give me just a quick moment. I am grabbing some of the software so that we can see each other. Folks that are watching on YouTube, you're bearing with me for just a quick hot moment. The folks trying to get it, so folks on Facebook can see me. And of course, let's see if we can get this going. All right, so here we are, everybody. Just a heads up. So what's happening right now is Facebook is being Facebook and doing complicated things. So of course it is. So what's going to happen is if you are in the Facebook chat, you're going to be seeing a little bit different screen than what YouTube is seeing. I would actually suggest hop over onto YouTube. It is just the better platform for streaming. It's going to make life a little bit easier for you, and it'll be easier to catch your questions, which ultimately is what I care most about at the end of the day here. So let's make sure I can see my own event, which is let's just double check something really quick. Public, post timeline. And just double checking as normal. You're all so wonderful. Let me just say that up front before we even get into things. So just want to double check. Are there folks in Facebook land who can see what's going on? just want to double check because obviously it's not trying to work. Just double checking. Sorry. Technical stuff. It's always a pain in the butt. And the funny thing is of all the technical things that could possibly be going wrong, this isn't even high on the list. Seriously? Okay, we might just have to give up on this because I got people who want to see things happening. One more quick round. Give it a shot. If not, oh well. All right, so you're going to get like one more minute of tech crap and then apparently we can't go live in Facebook. Oh well. All right. Thanks for the folks that are sending me messages just to let me know what's going on. We are going to have to plow ahead. Unfortunately, that is what it is. So if by chance you are here, you're most likely watching on YouTube. I'm going to shoot out one more quick message to the folks on the Facebook page just so they're aware. And then thank you very much. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to be going through Notion for authors today. We're going to be talking about a platform that very specifically is designed to help authors take control of their business and, most importantly, get back to the writing. So let me just talk a little bit about Notion as a whole, and then we're just going to get right into the software. So the biggest thing that I want to put out there for everyone is Notion is basically a management software. There's a whole lot of technical that goes into that statement, but we don't need to know that. And I'm going to try and steer clear of some of the tech stuff as much as possible. So what is Notion for authors? Well, basically what happened was, some of you may even remember, I once upon a time used a different management software, and it was okay. It looked pretty, but it wasn't really functioning for what I needed it for. And what was happening was I was trying to force things to fit in ways that didn't quite work. And ultimately, Notion popped up on my radar just by an accident. And I discovered that Notion can do about 95% of all the things that I have needs for as an author. And basically what happened was I decided, let's go all in on Notion. I want to be able to tailor something to how I work, how I operate, and ultimately spend a little bit of time up front putting everything together. And then I can work quickly on my business and then get back to the writing. Because ultimately, if I'm not writing, I'm not making money. So Notion is very much there to try and get you back to the writing as fast as possible. If there's anything else that I can possibly say about it, it's easy to put the information in and then get back to writing. So what I have created here, and let's just go take a look at it. We are going to actually look at Notion, because ultimately that's what you're here for. So this is what is called a template, and I can design them for whatever purpose. And I made this one specifically for me as an author. And what eventually happened was I started to notice that, oh, someone would mention, can it do this? Well, I don't use it for that, but yeah, it can. And ultimately what I did was I went through and I looked at every possibility of what authors could possibly be using Notion for and put as much of that into this template as possible. So why would you go with Notion over anything else? I'm not saying that Notion is for everyone. Some people are very visual people, and Notion, as you can see, maybe not the prettiest or more graphically inclined platform, but ultimately, I was tired of having 20 locations where all my files were tucked away. You 100% understand it's in my Google Drive, it's in this folder, it's in my desktop, it's in my downloads folder. My author business was spread everywhere. My emails, disaster. So I got tired of scrambling for stuff when my accountant would finally make that call and say, hey, it's your time to come in. Oh, and if you're like me, you say you're going to keep your finances up to date every month, and then that phone call happens and you have a full year to keep up with. So that was a big motivator for this. And I got tired of doing the same task a million times when I knew there must be a system that would allow me to duplicate and repeat. So that was a really big deal. And then ultimately, the biggest thing that motivated this was, honestly, I'm tired of paying for subscriptions. It gets overwhelming when you are paying for 5, 6, 7 subscriptions, and you realize at a certain point you're paying $300-400 a month for your Bibles, for your plotting devices, for your financing software. I am done with subscriptions. I am breaking some chains and I am paring down my business. And that's what Notion allowed me to do. So let's look at actual Notion. Right now, you are seeing what is called the dashboard. And this right now is my Notion. So my Notion is identical to the template. There's 1 or 2 little changes I've made because I need them for my own business. But what you're seeing here is the template with my personal data in it. So I warn you now, I have no personal boundaries. You're going to see my entire author business. So here it is in front of you. This right here is the snapshot of everything for Notion for authors. But I don't want you to take my word on it. So let's just go look at what the template is right out of the box. Same thing, right? Okay, so Notion has been designed so right now it can allow for 2 pen names. You can add more. You can move things around as you see fit. That is the beauty of Notion. We can personalize it to your needs. If you don't need query trackers or rights management software, get rid of them. So that is one of the things that I love about Notion. And we are going to be using mine because you're going to get to see how I use it and see some of the things that I might not use, but might be useful for you. You're going to notice some empty areas, particularly in the word tracker, because as an author, the first thing I worked out instead of writing today. That's the type of author I am. So I'm sure I'm not alone in this. But I want to stress over and over that the beauty of Notion is some things you're going to use, some you're not. And it is capable of being tailored to you. So Just always keep that in the back of your mind. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do just a quick overview of what you're seeing in front of you, and then we're going to dive into what the heart of this platform is. So right now I have universal pages. You'll recognize quite a few of these. I never can remember Ingram Spark's actual login. I always go to their fake one. So I wanted to get around that. My website, the login links for my websites, stuff like that. My general to-do list, and you can see at this point, it's just write the darn novel. And then even I have audiobook codes to give away, so I've tucked that in my to-do list. And then down here, we have sales tracking abilities and we have marketing abilities. So we'll be brushing up on those. So don't worry, I know I'm kind of doing a quick overview. Two of the things that are always important to me are, did I write today? Which, yeah, about that. And my account. We'll move on to the things I do well. And we're in an Amazon pay period. So you're already seeing some of the stuff that's coming in, waiting for tomorrow with the big payday. And then at the bottom is a calendar that you can use for your social media posting. I typically personally don't work that way. Like my brain just doesn't function that way. So I have another system for doing the social media posting, but some people really like calendars. So let's give them a calendar. All right. Here is Notion in a nutshell. And up here, if you're like me, I'm going to show you one of my old versions just so you can see. I like to visually mark everything. My sci-fi pages have sci-fi images. My romance have romance images. You can tailor some of this to make it a little bit more graphically yours. I mean, I know you love Cover Villain, but you might not want to stare at it all day. So I get that. All right, so let's go into the meat of Notion. This is the part that gets me excited. I just want to warn you up front, this is going to be a little bit information overload when you see behind some of these pages. Whether you're an author with one book or you're an author with 50 books, this part takes a little bit of time because you just have to put in all this information. But once you do it, it's there. So here is every writing project I've ever done. Yeah, see, it's a lot of information. And some of you are going to have 50, 60 books out there. So this part, this is why we hire virtual assistants. I'm just putting that out there. But you can see over here that I have 20 complete novels and 57 assets. So maybe a box set or a reader magnet or a cookie. Those all kind of add up for me. So, okay, let's just kind of walk through what this is going to look like. And I'm going to actually switch over just so it's not as overwhelming. And we're going to look at the template. So you can put in whatever book titles you want. You can include as many pen names as you want. And this goes for same thing as genres, novel types, word counts. I even included a space for K&P for Kindle Unlimited authors. And then, of course, because the most important thing in the universe is that you have contracts with your cover designer, this is where you would upload them. Not that I'm a cover designer or anything. So here are all the sample titles put in. And if we just want to add one more, let's add one more. It's going to be pen name 1. We're just going to say new book title. We're going to say it's our series 3. We're just starting. And it's going to be genre number 4 that we've selected, whatever, sci-fi, romance, whatever you want in there. This is just going to be a short story. We want something easy right now. And I like my short stories around 6,000 words. So I just so happen to be actively writing my short story. So that is all the information that we can put in here. And the great thing is as we build this out, the information from here will populate elsewhere in our document. I don't want you to use redundant information if you don't have to. There's nothing worse than typing the same thing 800 times. I'm firmly against it. So this becomes the heart of everything that we're doing. If there's a section, and I know I always get questions of, do I have to do something? Not really. There's a lot that you don't have to do. This is one of those areas that I would say is a must. And it's because this information will get pulled elsewhere. And you might not be a person who writes in your writing dates or your editing dates. I personally only do published dates. That's just kind of how my brain operates. So let's go back and look at my crazy overwhelming. And I will say this took me to do all my books. This information, I'm going to say setting up all of my Notion took a day, but I also had to import all my books, all my finances. Like I'm a little bit intense with data, but the beauty behind this is how we can parse the information. How can we look at it? Because this for you might be a little bit crazy. This might be too much and you're thinking, no, I'm peace out. I'm done already. But here's how I look at the data. And I've made these personally for me. These are only showing my full books now. Well, I want to see my full books, but I don't want to see them mixed together. Well, I can separate them out. So now it's full books by pen name. Welcome to Notion, where viewing information in whatever way makes most sense to you is absolutely possible. You could look at this in charts. You could look at this in weird note cards. My brain doesn't work that way. But there are other ways to do this. And you can custom make these 100 different ways. So I'm not going to get into all of them just for the sake of it does take quite a while. All right. So here's all the information being put in. Well, we all know that there is more information. There's so much more. You know, when you go to do a promo and they ask you, what's your ASIN? I don't know any of my ASINs off the top of my head. Well, funny you should bring that up. Let's go check out Nighthawks. This is a built template that you just can populate as you see fit. And you're going to see I even put in some NA marks because that's not how I operate. But here is all the data. And you can see I haven't even filled it all in yet. I'm still working on it. My synopsis, every promo place wants 150 words or 150 characters. So you can put in different length synopses so that they're just readily available, because there's nothing worse than going to your Google sheet and going, where did I put that? I used to do that a lot. I still do that a lot. So I have categories. I have your bisacts, your keywords, review quotes. And if you are a author that likes to do, let's say, social media with book quotes, as you find something funny in your writing, slap it in here. And that way you are building up a cohesive and pretty bulky piece for your back end. This is the information that we constantly are going to Amazon and highlighting, click. And it gets tiring, especially when you're doing really big promos. All right. So I'm going to just show my the same thing for my romance, if I can find where I did it. And then I'm going to pause for a second and just check some questions. I don't want to get too far ahead of folks. So here's the same thing for my romance. And you can see I'm still filling it in here as well. My categories taken right off Amazon, my bisacts, keywords, my quotes taken right off my editorial quote page. This is the information that I constantly find myself needing and then having to scrounge around to look for it. So let's see. I'm going to pause just a moment because we got some questions and I want to make sure people get their questions answered. That's really important to me. Okay, from Miranda, just because I can do this, does your template have the tab for the split writing projects by pen name, or do we have to do that ourselves? I have included a handful of ways to view the data, and I have included in the manual that you get with the template how to, Notion's really great about help videos on specific things like how do I create a view in split data? And what I love about Notion is they're like 2 to 3 minute videos that will show you how to collect that data. That is something that I think everyone's going to want to view their data in a different way. So I did a handful of kind of standardized versions so that you can see how it gets separated, and then you can take it the step further to what you specifically need. All right. Rose, can we export from the projects table to CSV? Rose, that is a good question. And let me just come right over here to the somewhere button, if I can find where it is. Export to CSV. You knew exactly what you were asking. This is a big deal for me. We're going to talk about the accounting stuff in just a moment. And the accounting thing for me is one of the most important because I love my accountant, and being able to export in a manner that my accountant can use was a really big deal. It was one of the biggest motivators behind creating this. So yes, your answer, 100% yes. Okay. MJ, can you show us where you put in the pen names, then flow into the template so we don't have to write the name every time? Does that make sense? It absolutely makes sense. All right. So there's a couple places you will have to repeat data. There's only so much redundancy that can be built in. So in this particular instance, because I've shown it to you, I just want to back up. You would have to write in Jeremy the Awesome here once, because again, I don't like repeating data. But here on this particular table, and this can be customized for any of the drop downs, we go to edit property, swing on over here, and you can add, so let's add another pen name. The Glorious Me, because of course. And then once you've done that, we're going to take this story right here and change it to The Glorious Me. And we can do that over and over. So you don't have to keep putting the names in. It just becomes a drop down. Again, I'm all about ease here. All right. So I'll fix all my template later. I'm too excited to show other stuff. Okay, so the word tracker. I don't really feel that I need to go into this one too much. You can create a word tracker and continue this on indefinitely. It's super easy to keep adding in dates. I just personally have the goal this year of 1,000 words. I promise you I have written far more than you see here. I just haven't imported it yet. And the nice thing is, what do you know? All my books are listed here. So currently I am working on The Executive of the Exposed. That didn't need to pop up, but thank you. It instantly pulls in what series it is, and then I just have to put in my word count for the day. This is what these fields will be pulling from the writing project. So if there was a writing project I don't have in there yet, I could just say new project. And it created it here. But the beauty of it, we're going to go back because this is redundant, I know. If we scroll down, there's already a new project in here. So these pages talk to each other. And that's the thing that gets me super excited. Yes, I get excited about spreadsheets. All right. I'm going to jump over the series page for just a hot second so that we can talk the accounting, just because we're looking at data in table format. I want you to be able to see this as well. So here are all of my expenditures and income as an author. I'm very, very meticulous about my finances. So this is all my 2022. Well, I don't need to see 2022. So let's go look at it by year. This is a little. The pen names. So this is one of those unfortunate spots where sometimes you do have to put in the redundant data. That's the only way it works. So, but we've minimized this as much as possible. The expense categories, these are set up based on what my accountant has told me from the IRS. So you're going to just want to double check, but here are the standard. You'll recognize a lot of these from your forms. The entertainment, income, meals, everything is already built in there. You can add or subtract as you see fit. The incomes, there's a whole bunch of incomes already listed. Amazon affiliate, all the Amazon markets, ACX, direct sales, and so forth. And then just putting in your data. So I've also, because it's important to me to be able to see how my pen names are performing against one another, I've split this up by pen name as well so that I can see what there is. I had to add a general because I have some non-pen name stuff under this business. So, but now you can see the data in multiple ways. And for what Rose was asking, this is where coming up here and exporting the data, you can export the CSV and say here to your accountant. My accountant really likes me. We're like BFFs. All right, so that for me is one of the most exciting spots. I know I'm a numbers guy. So, but some of you are going to be more about the organization and the planning. Well, series page is where that's all going to happen. Here is a rough look. I haven't filled it all in. Let me show you what the template looks like, just so you can see. I've created generic categories with generic book names, directions on how to add more, because I want this to be easy for everyone. And on this page, there is the Universe Bible. There is the book title, which you will recognize already there. And then an outline section. And you can do your outlining right in Notion. So part of this was because I found myself subscribing to outlining software, subscribing to plotting stuff. And I realized I was basically burning through money. And so I wanted it all in one place. So you can split this up. If you want to add an extra pen name, you can. If you have more than 3 series, you can keep this going on. You can put as much in here as you want. And let me show you how I've been doing it. All right. So under Jeremy Flagg, I have, I refer to my Bible as the Codex. And then under my romance pen name, I just call it Universe Bible. It's just, I don't know, fancy names for the same thing. So we saw this before. It's the same thing, easy access, just so we have it. And then we also have some outlines. So I'm going to show you my romance outlines just because I've actually filled them out and really used them heavily. So same thing. Here is Reckless Impulse. You can see I haven't even put it in yet. So let's just make a quick template. There we go. Then I can start adding stuff to it. Let's see what we can find. And of course, I didn't add them in. I thought I was so on top of things. All right, so let's go look at the outline. Real simple. It is just chapter, scene, and I personally like seeing a snapshot. So here's just a quick synopsis of the scene. And then point of view character, this point of view character is pulling from the Bible. And then characters pulling from the Bible. Where are these things happening? Pulling it from the Bible. So these connect back to the universe Bible. And that's one of the things that I really like, is that, again, the information is being shared, so I don't have to keep typing it in over and over. But of course, I like to write really long outlines. So this is just a quick snapshot. But if we open up the template for the scene, there's my longer. Not too horribly long, but this might not be the prettiest way to see this data. You might just not be a tables kind of person. So there is other views that you can see this. This is the one I personally like the most. And because I am a visual person, I like to color code stuff. So here is main character. And then all of my pretty cards are when the main character and the love interest are having liaisons. So it just visually helps me figure out what's going on in the plot. And you can see the little synopsis for each of them. So it's just a nice little snapshot. If you have artwork that you want to put in here of your characters, you could. So I like doing that as well because, again, I'm a visual person. So it doesn't have to be the card. You can put in actual artwork if you want. All right, so let's just double check on some questions. Linda. This is an outstanding question. Is this the paid version? How much of this is included in the free version? 100% of this uses Notion's free version. There isn't a single element on here that uses Notion's paid version. Notion has a paid category, and it gets some other bonus stuff. The biggest one being image upload. You get more space. So if you're a really heavy image user, that might be a reason. Or if you are interested in Notion's AI stuff, that's part of their paid version. I didn't want people to have subscriptions. I'm so anti-subscription. So let's get rid of them. So this is all designed for the free version. All right. MJ, can you move the cards around? Yes, you absolutely can. Though I just botched something because here, let's move this one over here. That I know will work. There we go. So you can treat these like note cards. That is the other big reason. I looked everywhere for note card software. And many of you have listened to me talk about Trello for note card software. It was great. This is modeled after Trello. So not saying it is Trello, but you can see where my inspiration came from for that particular view. All right. Any other questions before I hop into some other information? Go back to the series page for just a second. Also, to have some lovely coffee from my Jen Falls purchase mug. Thanks, Jen. Okay, what if you work on more than one project a day? I'm going to make the assumption that this is talking about the daily word tracker. The beauty for this is if you wanted to, and I'll do it right here just so we can see it happen, I'm going to duplicate this line and we have another January 1st. So you can have multiple projects in the same day. I'm typically a binge writer, so I don't do it that way, but many people jump projects. You can duplicate it, and then let's just switch out the project. And this one's going to be Nighthawks, and we're going to pretend that I wrote 500 words. We're being ambitious. So that is an option. Thank you for the questions, by the way, everyone. All right. So we are going to move on to the business section. All right. I recently wanted to sit down and do all my rights management because I forgot I have books here, short stories there, audio contract here. And mine aren't super complicated, but I really wanted to make sure that I knew where my work belonged and what I had legal rights to be using. So I have done this out for every book that I've gotten a contract for, and you can see some of them apparently I didn't sign contracts. So young me was foolish and naive. So this right here allows you to put in your project. It'll pull up the series name, the genre, the novel, word count. All of that comes from the writing projects. So you don't have to input this again. So let's just see it in action. So you know what? Nighthawks just got another audio. Let's be a little more realistic. This book that hasn't even been written has gotten a contract. There's no word count for it yet because I haven't even written it, but it's going to have an audio contract. And it's going to be for first rights. And it is currently under contract because adult me knows to sign contracts. And you can just put that in. And if we wanted, we could put the same book again. And maybe this time it's going to have an ebook contract for first rights on ebook. So you can go through and do this for every single rights. And for those of you with massive catalogs or a lot of anthologies under your belt, this for me was a big deal because I have a lot of ongoing rights that I forget I don't have first rights to anymore. So this helps me kind of keep track of all of that. Now, some of you are also in the trad world, and I never want to neglect the trad folk. So this right here is pulling up essentially a query tracker that you can hunt down all the information you need. Pulling up Nighthawks, all the information goes in. I am currently planning to send it to Awesome Publisher, and their website is awesomepublisher.com. My contact is going to be Barbara, and so forth. Again, for those that are sending out trad contracts, I remember those days. There could be 20 requests coming back and forth. This helps you just keep track of when they're going out, when you're hearing back, and what the next steps are. So again, just keeping your back end of your life a little more organized than me rifling through my emails today to find all my contracts. All right, so let's talk about the sales trackers. So I'm not going to lie to you and try and oversell this. There are definitely more robust sales trackers out there. There's no point in trying to circumvent that. The sales trackers that we have here are generally for higher order viewing. If you need something like day-to-day sales, I will tell you right now, Notion cannot keep up with that. Also, Notion importing from things like the KDP dashboard, exporting all those results is a madhouse, and it does not work well with Notion. So let me show you what we have here. It might be that you want to pair this with a software that does do every day. Hopefully, if you're one of those people who doesn't use it a lot, this will help you save that money. So I'm going to hop into, I currently just have sample data in here. So this is literally by month. And the way it works is simply, let's put in a new. So year, and I'm going to do another February just because. 0.0045. Let's hope that rate goes up. Total page reads, we'll say that. Books sold, 65. And it will start putting in the data for you. So net sales, maybe the numbers are different because I had a promo going on for part of February. And that's why we can put in multiple lines on the same date. And then we can divide it out by month or by year, whichever makes most sense to you. This is generally meant for a month overview. I would not suggest trying to do this on a day-by-day basis. Could you? Absolutely. But again, my goal, get back to writing. So you could if you wanted to. I'll leave that up to you. All right. What I personally like is doing the tracker by title. For me, this is kind of interesting. I currently have my 2 book ones for the flagships of my series. It pulls in a bunch of the data. You can see one of them is wide, one of them is in KU. And then, yes, my royalty rates are wrong. I'm being very optimistic. But ultimately, we will get our total income from them. I like viewing things based on title. And that way, if I have another book one come out, I can compare book one against book one. So for me, I like seeing the data based on title. So I made sure that there was a by title tracker as well. Now, some of you aren't in KU. Don't worry, we got you. We have the same exact thing for folks who are wide. And I warn you, this is a long spreadsheet, but we have Amazon, we have Barnes & Noble, Draft Digital, Google eBook, Book Vault, see where we're going with this, paper sales, Ingram, direct sale. It just goes and goes. Now, the first question I always get asked is, can you add more? Yes, you can add as many as you want. It's not incredibly difficult once you just see the naming conventions. So if you want to parse out, maybe you go direct through Kobo, maybe you go direct here, there, and everywhere else, you can separate that out if you want. You would just have to adjust the equation. So I went with some of the more popular ones just to make that a little bit easier. And then the same thing for here, we have wide by title. Same exact thing as Amazon, except it has those additional stores in there as well. Some people want to know all that info. All right, so let me just pause because I know that's a dense section. I don't know if you have time, but can you show how an author would set up a basic dashboard from scratch? Use the template and show us what we would fill in to get name book set up. MJ, give me till the end and I will actually go through and I will download a brand spanking new template so you can see what I would do for the fast early setup. I think there is a quick version for me. For folks like you who have a lot of books, quick will be a relative term. All right. Last thing I want to show is the read-through trackers. I went and just put in my data just because I was curious to see what my read-throughs were. I will say that my page reads are extremely optimistic. They are not correct. But what this does is it shows you the read-through. Once you put in the data, the read-through from book 1 to book 2 is 90%. Then 3, we have sales read-through and we have reads read-through. So I stupidly made my book 2 actually does get a lot more reads than my book 1. I don't know why, but that is an actual realistic number here. It's currently set up for 6 books. The reason for that is just ultimately I was looking to see what read through would be, and 6 was kind of the happy number. Can you add more? Yes, you can absolutely add more. You can add as many as you absolutely want to this chart. I just thought for a lot of authors going over 6 would be overkill, so that's just kind of where I stopped on it. But you absolutely can expand it as you need. And because I don't ever want to neglect the wide authors, it's the same exact thing, except you'll notice that it's only sales read through. It's not page read throughs. So same exact thing for the wide authors. Is the template only in dark? No, it is absolute. Oh, let me, Chen falls. Let's switch it over real quick, just so we can show what it looks like. If I can remember where my settings are. Ooh, let's get out of that. You also have it in light mode. Those of you who use things in light mode, I question you. I just always stick with dark mode. That's just a me thing. I'm a villain. I mean, what do we expect here? All right. We're going to get through the marketing stuff because we are just about on time. All right. Monthly ads tracking. Again, this is going to be similar to before. It is higher order view. It is not typically used for daily view. If you are looking for daily inputs, it can do it. I'm not saying don't do it, but it was designed for almost like a weekly or monthly overview, whatever you prefer. You could do daily views if you wanted. And this right now is all manual put in because it does not handle importing from Facebook ads platform. Facebook doesn't put it out in a way that makes a logical sense. All right. We are launch checklist. This is essentially, I polled a bunch of authors. Thank you, my clients, for answering questions about this. And I generated a launch plan based off of what they are currently doing and amalgamated them together. Could you add to this? You absolutely can. And it is easy as hit the return key and add new item. The great thing about it is you can go through, and then if you want, you can reset it. You could create a book launch checklist, or you could even do book launch for romance, and then come back here, and you could do a duplicate and make one for sci-fi, for instance. So you are not limited by just what's on screen. You can always make copies. But thank you, clients. You are wonderful in answering so many absurd questions about your launch strategies. I learned quite a bit from that. Not sure if I'm going to do it, but I learned a lot. All right. So we have heard nonstop lately about merch and direct sales. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is a lot of math, because ultimately you want to make sure that you are coming out on the positive. And so as I was developing my direct store for both my websites, I came in and I set up all the numbers that needed to exist to make sure I made money. So I'm going to just walk through this briefly. I promise you my math checks out. You can double check it if you want. And I actually support very much you go in and change it as necessary. So the price, the list price of my product, production cost, shipping, tax on the item, mine is currently set to 7.24. You can change it by going in and altering the equation. Easy peasy. I'm not just saying that to be condescending. It is as easy as can possibly be made. the retail of the product, then this is how I run my business. So this might alter depending on how you structure your business. Based off my gross, I have my banking fees, so I have to deduct those because my bank is notorious. I also instantly pull out my 20% for my taxes because my accountant tells me to. And then I also do a 10% towards my retirement, 10% towards my rainy day fund, and then the net is what winds up in my pocket. So as you change each of these numbers, it will actually show you if you are going into the negative. You could easily change out retirement for that yacht fund that we all want. Or I know Linda really needs the pool boy, so you could just put your 10% towards your pool boy. You can alter these equations as necessary. And it is as simple as clicking on and just changing the percentages. Of course, I'm not clicking on any of them that show the percentage. Here we go. And then you would just change out the percentage. And again, because you quickly discover every variation, so I have a print book, but I have paperback, I have hardback, I have special edition, I have ebook, I have a poster, I have a product, and what I quickly discovered is this list grew very, very quickly. And you can see I've linked things through Book Vault, through Book Funnel, depending on how I'm supplying for my vendors. Through Printify is what I'm using for my print vendor. And all of this is being sold on my website using WooCommerce. So you can put all of that data in. If you were a Shopify person, there will be specific fees, and you would just put in whatever their percentage of their fees are coming out for you. And if the taxes, I believe Shopify does taxes themselves, you would be able just to remove this column and all the columns would adjust accordingly. So that, for me, keeps me a little bit organized because my website is crazy with products. Karen, 100%. You can change all the banners. That is the only advertising you'll see. Is I just dropped in template images because I'm not here to. Well, I guess I am here to broadcast my name. MJ, Second Brain. I like to think of it as the virtual assistant that I never have work for because I can never remember what to give them for work. Notion is what I personally need. I need that person to just remember everything for me. And apparently that is cruel and unusual punishment for your VA, but it's true. And Linda, I'll be over at your pool. All right. We're wrapping up down to the promotion schedule. This is set up in a way. Let me show you the table first because that's always what I like to show. Here are all the promotions I've done, either by discounting or by KU free days. It all goes into here. And you can see I put in, it's a free Booksy. It cost me this. Hello Books cost me this. So I put all of those in there. But I don't like looking at this particular view. It doesn't quite work for me. So there's also a by promo span. And what this does is it groups each of them. Computer's being slow. It groups each of them by, let's say you're using your KU days, your free days, and you're using 4 of them. Bam, here's all 4 of those days. And what I like doing is I like seeing how many free books I've moved, how many paid books I moved, and total books. And all of that gets summarized. So I can look based off each book's promo, which has been good, which maybe not so great. You can see down here, I have the free book, paid books, and then the summary. So all of that is in here. Well, where is it pulling these promos from? I put in a handful of the most popular ones, popular based off my genres. I'll be the first one to admit that. But you can easily go in and add each one and then put the links in for whichever ones you want, and then delete out the ones you don't want. And then last but not least is the social media calendar. It is exactly what it sounds like. And I'm just going to move this one up to today, just so it shows up on the calendar. So now if we look at the calendar view, here's my cover reveal. And the reason I like doing something this way is for the sake of I can just duplicate and change the date. For those of you who need to reuse content more, that's me, because I'm too busy always making original content and I'm foolish. This is a way to easily duplicate content and just move it to another date. Now, the one thing that you can't do on this is include images. And the reason for that is because I wanted to make the assumption that most people will be using Notion for free. And if you put in too many images, you will butt up against the max for the free plan. You could very easily just add an image upload to the end. You probably will get 50 or 60 images before it starts telling you to pay for it. So that is an option if you want it. All right. Okay. Good question. Once I have the template and filling in stuff, what kind of support is there if I need help? Here is the one downside to Notion, and I truly am saying as the one downside. The moment you take this out of the box, I could help you. The moment you start to put in data, it starts to become your own, and there is no humanly possible way without me logging into every person's individual Notion to see what they've done. It's as simple as if you botch an equation somewhere, it could take me 10, 15 hours to find where the error is. Maybe not that much, but a while. And I don't want to charge people for that time. So what I'm saying is out of the box, I can give some support in the fact that I can say here's how to get it, but going in after that is simply not possible. The great thing about Notion is its help videos and help articles are extremely thorough and extremely brief. So if something goes wrong, there is a video to help you fix it. And I've included them in the manual, all the videos and all the articles that pertain specifically to Notion for authors. I want to empower you to get enough of a handle on it that when you're like, this template's been great, but I really need to start tailoring it to my business, that you can take control and it won't be a huge slog for you. All right, MJ, I haven't forgotten your question. Are there any other questions before I do a quick, here's Notion out of the box, let's make it happen? While I'm waiting, here also I put in social media links because I can never remember my own social media profiles. I'm not going to lie, I'm horrible about that stuff. So I can just copy and paste it whenever BookBub is like, what's your Facebook? I can't remember what my Facebook name is. So it's all just there so you can copy it. Diane, can you share this with others? That is a good question. There is an ability, and do not quote me on this. I think, ooh, that is a really good question. Yes, there is absolutely a way to, let me grab the settings. Does it pop up the screen? Yep. You can add people to your Notion dashboard. So if you make a new user for your particular dashboard, so if you have a VA, you can have your VA come in to a shared dashboard and it will live update as they update stuff. It will show almost instantly for you as well. So that if you don't have things for your VA to do, populating your writing projects sounds like a worthwhile task to me. If by chance I am wrong and it is under the group user is under the paid, it starts at, I want to say $4.99 a month. There's always discounts for it that you can find. Otherwise, the full paid a month is $9.99. And again, I really don't want anyone paying subscriptions if they can help it. So I'm going to double check that and get back to you because now I want to know. Oh, Miranda, I'm not forgetting you either. Diane, can you share only portions of this with others, like if you write with another author? The short answer is maybe. Certain things could be shared with another person. Some things, if you wanted to move them into a what they refer to as a public space, I don't think the links between things like the writing project and the word tracker would work. So I think that that might be a problem, but I'm going to double check on that. And I want to get back to you because I want to give you the right answer because that is some interesting using of this. And I had not thought about that. So if you shoot me a message on Facebook, I'm going to find this answer for you. Miranda, when we get the template, I don't know how to pronounce it. Can we make multiple copies so we can keep a clean copy in case Miranda botches the equations? Yes. The great thing about it is you can always copy the entire dashboard with duplicate. It's going to take a little while for it to duplicate, but it does work. And then if some weird chance you delete everything, just poof, it's gone, you can always go back to the link in the manual and download a fresh copy again. So that will always be available. Not that I've accidentally deleted entire pages and had to come back to it. That hasn't happened to me at all yet. Just putting that out there. Can you print portions? Yes, you can absolutely print sections. I personally, just for the sake of making my life easier, I like to export it and then print it from another document. That's just how I do it. Like I will take the accounting stuff and I will pull it out into an Excel file, open it that way and print from there. I just feel I'm more used to printing from other software, but you can also print from Notion directly as well. Man, you guys got some good questions, keeping me on my toes. All right. If you have more questions, keep asking them. Jerome had a question earlier specifically about starting from scratch. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to walk through the entire process. It is so much easier than we could possibly think. And I want to specifically give a shout out to Karen Diem for walking through the process step by step to make sure that all the directions were adequate and correct, basically. So what happens for this template is you would go to Cover Villain, you're going to download a PDF of all things. And in the PDF, there's a link. Boom, that link will open up Notion. And it will show this Notion dashboard. Well, it's going to show this Notion dashboard. And it's going to ask you, do you want to copy it? And so what you can do is go straight from here and you can duplicate it. And it's going to ask you where you want to duplicate it. Well, of course, you want to duplicate it on your website or on your Notion. And it's one of the options. So pretty straightforward. I'm not going to actually click the button because there's so much info on here. It takes almost 10 minutes to fully duplicate everything. So we're just going to make the assumption I clicked that button. I've waited patiently, gotten some more coffee. And what you are going to see is this right here with that trunk. This is exactly what you would get out of the box. So how would I start setting it up? Well, of course, I'm a little egotistical. Well, the most important stuff is getting your names right. That's my first thing. But again, I think the most important thing in the whole Notion dashboard to get started on, this is the VA thing, would be going here. And this is what it looks like at the beginning. So, well, let's take some things and start making them yours. So I happen to know that our dear friend Ryder writes romance. And Jeremy writes, oh, I'm in the wrong thing. See, I've already gotten it wrong. You guys were asking the hard questions. All right, so you can already see now if I made a new one, there we go. Well, the next thing I'm going to do is probably correct all the genres. So go in, sci-fi, so forth, so forth. And then what I'm going to start doing is just putting in the titles for now. And then do the next book and the next book and the next book until you have all of your titles in here. That, I think, is going to be the first chunk. Now, if you're like me and you're a little bit of a completionist, then what you're probably going to want to do is go into each individual book and start putting in whatever information you find useful. That would probably be the longest part. And if you have a VA, this is where I would say do it. Otherwise, go hop up on your couch, turn on Law and Order, because there's only 5 hours a week of it. And I would just slowly work your way through it. That is probably the most time consuming. The other big time consuming area would be doing the finances if you want to include all your old finances. I have mine in there for the last 3 years just because that's when I started using my new accountant. Susanna, thank you. Right now on the page, the link at the bottom right shows a sign up to get notified. Should we go ahead and do that, or should we wait because it's coming very soon? I would say go ahead and get notified because there will be a, okay, this is my as silly as I get. I'm going to put a 20% coupon into the newsletter release alert. That is really the honest reason to sign up. You're not going to go on my newsletter other than there for the alert, essentially. But it just gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling to watch that number go up. So I'm going to do 20% if you're on the newsletter. Otherwise, the next question from the wonderful Janet Margot, when is the ETA? Next week. I have been sitting on this. I have been having beta testers go through it. I've had authors with 6 figures. I've had authors with 3 figures. We have gone through it. Trad, indie, we have poured through it. It has been gone over many times. The manual is the last piece. And thanks to Karen DM, it is magnificent. So we are about ready to launch with this. Susanna, so I originally, not to tell a story or anything, but when I started looking for templates for Notion, I got super excited. Yay, somebody has done the work for me. And what I found was they're charging $29 for a template that is just a word tracker. $29 for just finance tracking. I got super fed up with that because I am not paying $300 for comprehensive things that don't talk to each other. That just seemed maddening to me. So straight up, I just want to say for anyone who is curious, the Notion is going to cost $49.99. It is a one-time fee. I do not believe in subscriptions. And what's going to happen from that is you will get the manual. That's what you'll buy on the website. And the manual has the link to Notion. And you can use the manual if you need it. Hopefully you won't. But if you're like me, you always skim it because you need something. And that is what is going to go out. Just to also put along with that, I will be doing 10% of all the proceeds will be going to Promising Pages in Charlotte, North Carolina. They are a wonderful charity that is donating books to marginalized kids and kids in need to help them build libraries in their home. And it just warms my heart. And I wanted a way to give back to them. And this seemed like the perfect opportunity because who doesn't need books in their house? Linda, you can sign up right in covervillain.com/Notion. Okay, MJ, this is an important question, and I want people to fully understand this. When you buy it, does it ever get updated, or the updates would be what we want to feel when we want to add stuff? Correct me if I'm wrong on this one. If I do an update for Notion at this stage, the only thing that I would be doing is, let's say I discovered that an equation was wrong. The horrible thing happens. The only update would be me sending out an email to all the buyers to say where the error is and here's the equation to fix it. Unfortunately, just like before, if I updated and let's say I do Notion 2025, which, I mean, let's be honest, there is a chance that's going to happen. If I do that and you want that, you will have to put in all the information again. And that for me sounds horrific. So why buy it now and not in 2025? Quite honestly, there's never going to be the perfect time, the time when it has everything. I thought about ways to expand and put more into it. And most of that had to do with the AI elements of Notion, which require paid subscriptions, which I am against. So I opted not. So this right now is about the extreme of what it will be. Could I possibly update individual pages? Yes. And quite honestly, I'm not one to grub for money. It's just not my thing. So if I see something that's super awesome, I'm going to send it out to the people who bought. I want everyone to walk away with more awesome stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, Notion, once you start tinkering, updating gets more and more difficult. I just updated from version 1 of the author template to the newest version, the one that's going live. And I will say it probably took me about 3 hours to move all my data over. It was super easy with cut and paste, whatnot, but that was 3 hours. So when Notion 2025 comes around, if it does, it will clearly state here are the differences, and then you can make a logical choice of what you feel. Transparency, it matters. All right, are there any other questions? I don't want to leave anyone hanging. You can always reach out to me through Cover Villain. I am always happy to talk about Notion. I am sure some of you are here taking notes because you're going to go create your own Notion boards. And I am power to you on that. I do not hold grudges. I think whatever empowers an author to be faster, more efficient, take control of their business, and get their butts in a chair in writing more, that's what matters to me. So that is my huge spiel at the end of all of this. And thank you very much, Miranda. If you can do me a favor, the one big thing I would ask is I am not in a lot of author spaces. I am very much a hermit. This is how I communicate as a college professor. If you could share this out with whoever, I will be doing a bunch of posts coming up to inform people that things are happening. And when it goes live, just let folks know. I've heard so many people ask about Notion, and I am so excited. So weirdly excited. All right. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to give just another minute, and then I'm going to say, go sign up at covervillain.com/Notion. And I don't want to make a promise, but I'm strongly looking at the official release on June 3rd or June 4th. By saying that out loud, I just gave myself a deadline, and I'm kind of crazy about them. So let's do that as a loose deadline. And it will go out first to the people on the newsletter and then go out. Janet, that's exactly what I hope. If you can open this up and you're like, pull this part, pull that part, take and use whatever works for your business. I have no ego when it comes to this. I just want to have a good time and get back to writing. All right. I'm going to shut it down. I want to give a couple shout outs. Thank you very much to Karen Diem for going through the technical manual. Thank you, Jen Falls, for being in the back end and shouting at me for questions. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Miranda DeSalvo. I'm going to pronounce that wrong. I apologize now. For going through the equations with me. And thank you, MJ Khan, for making some arbitrary post on Facebook 2 years ago where he mentioned Notion, and I saw it and I have never turned back since then. I thank you all for helping get this project to where it is right now. And of course, all the beta testers and alpha testers and harsh critics. I appreciate all of that. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, and I can't wait to get this out to you. Take care, everyone.